I still remember the day everything changed. The woman I loved looked me in the eyes, smiled, and then slowly stopped talking to me. Not because we had a fight, not because she stopped loving me, because someone told her to. And 2 weeks later, the people who gave her that advice learned a lesson they never expected. My name is Daniel. My wife, Emma, and I had been married for 4 years. We were not perfect, but we laughed together. We cooked together. We dreamed together. Every night we sat on our small balcony with coffee. No phones, no distractions, just us. People often said they wished they had what we had. I believed them. Then one Friday evening, everything changed. Emma came home from dinner with her friends. She looked different. Quiet, distracted. She barely answered my questions. I thought maybe she had a bad day. I kissed her forehead and let it go. The next morning, she didn't say, "Good morning." No smile, no hug, just silence. At first, I thought she was upset. I asked if something was wrong. She simply said, "I'm fine." Nothing more. That silence continued. 1 day, 3 days, a week. I became confused. Had I forgotten something? An anniversary? A promise? Did I hurt her without knowing? I apologized for things I couldn't even remember. Still, nothing. She answered only when necessary. One-word replies, cold eyes, empty expressions. Our happy home suddenly felt like a hotel. Then, I accidentally found the reason. Emma left her tablet on the kitchen table. A message appeared on the screen. It was from one of her closest friends. It said, "Stay strong. Ignore him for a full month. He'll become obsessed with chasing you." Another message followed. "Men only value what they can't have." Then another. "Don't give in. You're winning." Winning? Winning what? My marriage wasn't a game. I quietly put the tablet back. I never mentioned what I saw. That night, I couldn't sleep. I realized something painful. She wasn't angry. She was following instructions. The woman I loved had turned our marriage into an experiment. For the next few days, I stopped chasing. No more asking what was wrong. No more begging for conversations. No more apologizing for imaginary mistakes. Instead, I became peaceful. I woke up early, started going to the gym again, cooked my own meals, read books before bed, met old friends for coffee. I smiled more, laughed more. The silence no longer hurt me. It gave me time to remember who I was. Emma noticed. One evening she walked into the living room. Usually I would ask about her day. This time, I was reading. She stood there for several seconds, waiting. I simply smiled, then continued reading. For the first time, she looked confused. The next morning, she made my favorite breakfast. I thanked her politely, then left for work. No extra conversation, no emotional reaction. Nothing. That evening, she asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I smiled. I already made plans with my brother. She looked disappointed. The game she had started was no longer working. A few more days passed. One night, I came home carrying flowers, not for another woman. For my mother. It was her birthday. Emma saw them. Her face changed immediately. She asked, "Who are those for?" I calmly answered. "My mom." She looked embarrassed. That was the first real emotion I had seen from her in weeks. The following weekend, her friends invited us to dinner. I agreed. I wanted to see them. Dinner started normally. Everyone laughed. Everyone joked. Then one friend smiled at Emma. "So, is he begging yet?" The table became quiet. Emma looked uncomfortable. She glanced at me. I slowly placed my glass on the table. Then I smiled. I actually want to thank all of you. They looked surprised. Thank us? Yes, if you hadn't convinced my wife to ignore me. I never would have remembered how peaceful life can be when you stop chasing someone who treats love like a competition. Nobody spoke. I continued. I spent 2 weeks improving myself. I exercised. I reconnected with family. I stopped depending on someone else's attention for my happiness. And honestly, I've never felt stronger. One friend laughed nervously. It was only a relationship trick. I nodded. I know. But marriages aren't social media challenges. They're built on communication, not manipulation. The smiles around the table disappeared. Emma looked down, her eyes filled with tears. On the drive home, she cried quietly. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry." I listen to people who don't have healthy relationships. I thought making you chase me would make us stronger. I stayed silent, not to punish her, to let her words settle. Finally, I said something she never forgot. Silence can build peace, but it can also destroy trust. She cried even harder. The next morning, she deleted every relationship group chat she had joined, not because I asked, because she wanted to. Over the following months, we started talking again. Really talking. About fears. About mistakes. About expectations. Sometimes conversations were uncomfortable, but they were honest, and honesty healed what silence almost destroyed. Months later, one of those same friends got divorced. Another ended a long relationship. Another admitted she had copied advice from videos online without ever testing it herself. Emma looked at me one evening and smiled. I almost lost the best person in my life because I listened to the loudest voices instead of the closest heart. I squeezed her hand. Neither of us spoke for a moment. This silence felt different. It wasn't cold. It wasn't manipulative. It was peaceful. Real love doesn't need games. It doesn't need fake distance. It doesn't need someone to win. Because the moment one partner wins, the relationship loses. If someone tells you to ignore the person who truly loves you, ask yourself one question. Are they helping your relationship, or simply entertaining themselves with someone else's happiness? Sometimes. The strongest message isn't spoken, it's shown, and sometimes. Silence teaches the biggest lesson of all.